All right, now we're looking at the second page of this assignment, which says use the combinations formula to evaluate each expression. Remember the formula is, we read this as n choose r. So n choose r equals n factorial over r factorial times n minus r factorial. Now remember, we already learned how we can use Pascal's triangle to solve these problems, but we don't always have a Pascal's triangle handy, or sometimes we don't want to make a Pascal's triangle that goes out as far as we need it to. So mathematicians discovered this formula that can also be used to evaluate combinations. So problem 7, we have 9 choose 5. In other words, I have 9 items and I want to choose out 5 of them. So in this formula, 9 will be my n and 5 will be my r. So if I plug it into the formula, I will have 9 factorial over my r, which is 5 factorial, times n minus r, or 9 minus 5 factorial. Well, now to solve this, I'm going to start by simplifying. I have 9 factorial over 5 factorial times 9 minus 5 is 4 factorial. Now to simplify that fraction, I know that 9 factorial is the same as 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 factorial. And I'm stopping there because then I can cancel with the 5 factorial that's on the bottom of this fraction. So now I can go ahead and cancel out those 5 factorials, and this problem will become 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 over 4 factorial, which is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Well, if I type 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 into my calculator, that's reloading, we have 9 times 8 times 7 times 6, which is 3024. Over 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Which is 24. Now we always simplify fractions if we can, but I'm going to type this in my calculator. So I have 3024 divided by 24, which comes out to be 126. So there are 126 ways that I can choose 5 items out of a group of 9. Keeping that in mind, let's look at some of these story problems. Here on problem 13, we're asked, the student council is forming a prom committee. There are 20 students on the student council, and they would like the prom committee to consist of 6 students. How many different committees can be formed? So notice that in this case we have 20 students, and we would like to select 6 of them. So I have 20 students, and I want to choose 6. Remember, the formula is n factorial over r factorial times n minus r factorial. And in this case, the n, or the number of students we have to choose from, is 20, and the r, the number of students we're selecting, is 6. So if I plug into this formula, I will have 20 factorial over 6 factorial times 20 minus 6 factorial. If I simplify that down, I have 20 factorial over 6 factorial times 20 minus 6 is 14 factorial. Now I can simplify this by hand, but I'm going to just go ahead and type it into my calculator. So I open up my Google Calculate, and I have 20 factorial divided by 6 factorial times 14 factorial. Whoops. 14 factorial. And my calculator says that equals 38,760. So that means I can form 38,760 different committees using 6 of the 20 students on the student council. Now that you've seen that, go ahead and finish.